Well, it's been a minute, man. I haven't done a podcast in a long time.
How long's it been?
It's an honor. Um, I did like a radio interview. I don't know. I guess a couple of months ago, but it's probably been 2 years,
Yeah.
something like that.
Now
If not longer.
did you speak somewhere recently? Like I saw a clip of you recently. I think you posted it on your story.
Oh, that was a couple years ago. I did
Okay.
share that. That was a couple years ago in Philadelphia. I shared it because that was where the debate was just at. It was
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had to speak about psychedelics in that same room. It was cool.
Dude, that's
Trippy
insane.
to me. Should I turn this blur off my background? I'm sorry, dude.
You're good,
I'm
man.
anxious.
We're playing around. Hey, listen, this is my first time using Zoom with a participant. So we're figuring it out, bro.
Nice, man. We got this.
If there's
All right.
if there's anybody that can handle this, it's you and I. There we go.
There we go. I'll do it this way. It's better. All right. Not that there's an official start. You're like, oh, we're already in. This is all going up.
This is all going on. This is all part of life, right?
Definitely, man.
Shit happens and you just move forward with it. So it's been a minute since you've done a podcast. That kind of surprises me. I mean, I know you spend a lot of time on your mental health and taking care of you and stuff like that, but dude, the shit that you say and the stuff that, you put out there, I mean, I think highly of it, you know that, but it's what I think that more people need to hear. I mean, speak eloquently about the subject matters that you speak on, like psychedelics and cannabis and PTSD and helping with all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so many stereotypes out there right now where people are they just back completely away from it. But it's been such a giant help for I know you, but for me, it's changed my life completely. So, I respect what you do, and I was just like, I was surprised that you don't do more of this because I would enjoy hearing more of it. That little clip that you posted of you speaking a couple years ago, I was like, yeah, that is what we need. I sent that to about 10 of my friends.
Damn, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome.
dude, that means a lot, man. Thank you. And I know we've been connected for a little while, and the feeling is very mutual. I appreciate everything that you share. I resonate a lot, and I'm grateful for people like you that are speaking. I wish that I could or would do more. I used to.
Yeah.
Back in the really heavy early days of Balanced Veterans, I was doing a lot of podcasts and talking, and to be honest with you, it led me to this point of sort of burnout,
Yeah.
and I took a big step back. So it's been a couple years since I um, started, I guess, used my voice, and I guess I'm slowly starting to again, whatever that means. A lot of times when I'm sharing things, it's for myself. I kind of use social media like a virtual journal at times. I know it sounds
Yes.
weird, but it's like, a way for me to keep some accountability and, regularly keep up. Um, what I find it wild is it's like if I'll go a couple days or whatever without posting something, someone virtually, whether it be you or someone else, will drop in and be like, yo man, you all right, how you doing? Like,
Hmm.
there's this level of community that I think I don't even think about. I'm like, because there's this part of me that's like, dude, social media, the internet, it's the devil, it sucks, it's the media, we need to get away from it, it's terrible. But then on the other hand, I'm like, man, there's this beautiful community of people like you and other folks that I've connected with over the years that like really mentor me, that help me
Yes.
grow, and that like I'm able to at times, I don't know how or why, pour back into them. And it's this beautiful little microcosm of just good people. And
Yeah.
it's tough to find. Like, you can't go out on the street and recognize that someone's half decent, but you can see someone regularly living their lives out loud, while social media is not everything, trust me, I know that. You see some of the highlights in the ways that people carry themselves and choose to present themselves, I guess. So
That's a beautiful way to put it, man. It's a virtual journal for me too. You know, a lot of what I post is what I'm thinking. Questions that I post, they're literally questions that, like, when I sit down in the morning and meditate, or when I'm just going day to day, these are questions that I actually think about.
yeah,
Like, you know what? I can't think of one right now, but this is shit that I think about. I post it for myself, and it allows other people to maybe think about what they're doing on this earth a little bit more.
absolutely.
I I found great benefit in that when I started to think about, like, what am I doing here? You know, what kind of impact am I making?
Right.
It really started to matter to me. And you brought up another good point about, like, so yeah, social media, it's the devil, it's horrible, it's destroying our kids, it's changing our brain waves. Like, sure, but, like, dude, and I love that you said this because I said this on a podcast the last time. Um, I have also found that microcosm of people. And yeah, you can't just go out on the street and be like, oh, well, there's 10 people that I really enjoy. But, like, social media allows you to capture 100, 1,000, 1,000,000 people that are thinking the same way that you are. And it's amazing. So, you know, every morning I wake up and I'm like, well, what can I do to make a difference? I think of energy as like a wave. Um, so I send out messages, whether it be to you or, you know, really the first 10
So
people that are,
I love that you do that, man. It is like the coolest thing. I don't know, man. It's dope.
it's
Sorry to
one of my
interrupt
favorite.
you, but I have to say that. Thank
I,
you.
I appreciate that, man. And I love that you're accepting of them. Boy, I've done it for, like, I don't know, maybe 3, 4, 5 years, something like that. It's just been a regular practice of mine. I'll think of a short statement and send it to the first 10 people that I see. Um,
That's right.
and you know, generally it's a positive feedback. You know, people are like, bro, I like, you hit me right at the right time. I needed that. It got me through my day. I've received some weird responses where people are just like, why did you send me this?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm trying to send out some love. I'm trying to send out some positivity. And then, like, they're almost like, what do you want from me? I'm like, I don't want anything.
Nothing, baby. It's a
I just
seed.
I'm just, yeah, it's just a seed, man. Johnny Appleseed over here.
Johnny Appleseed over
Just Johnny Appleseed, bro. And
here.
so that's the way I look at it, bro. And I don't, yeah, again, I don't remember when I really started it, but it's just, man, and I know people, and I know you do too, from all different parts of this country. I don't know if I know anyone really outside of the country now that I'm thinking about it. But anyways,
I
you
got
know,
some
I can
world
affect
homies. You got some world homies out there.
I
You'd
got,
be
I got
surprised, man. There are people watching you that you don't even know about. It's cool.
Yeah, and one of them thinking right now, he lives in Costa Rica, so I know, like, already. So you're absolutely right, but it's like you can affect and put your wave in so many different spots right now that you never could be able to do, you know, whatever, however many years ago,
Right.
and that's unbelievable to me.
It really is. It's a powerful tool. Really powerful.
So it's like a hammer, right? Like, you don't want to hit yourself in the head with a hammer, but, like, if you use a hammer on a house where you're constructing a house, that makes sense.
No doubt. Yeah.
So I see both sides. I'm like, social media, sure. I don't have the high level view of what some of these people that study this stuff are looking at and how it affects mental health, but I know how it affects me.
Yeah.
And um, you know, and then there's that comparison thing that people talk about sometimes. It's like you can't compare yourself to people online. It's like, well, yeah. So some people say that affects their mental health, and I think I was at a point where I compared myself to other people online. But again, that's all about how you look at it.
Dude, there's so many feelings online for me. I mean, I've compared myself. I've had imposter syndrome. It can be so damaging if you're not able to really set the boundaries in your mind and realize, like, dude, it's not like, it really doesn't matter. None of that stuff. It's what people are choosing to share again. And
Yeah.
There were times where, like, especially leading the organization, where I would just be like, "Oh, we're not doing enough," or "Look what someone else is doing," and it was a distraction.
Sure.
And so I've definitely learned, like you're saying, just sort of to you. What I think is cool about social media is the fact that if I don't want to listen to somebody, like you said, we can find those 10 people that we enjoy. We can highlight those voices on our social media. I can favorite you, or I can see that more than I'm seeing the rest of this garbage that's coming out. So, if you're into learning and you want to grow, like, you can follow specific accounts to boost that.
Yeah.
Like, I manage a lot of social media accounts for different businesses and stuff, and it's almost like different worlds. I'll step into a different person's account, and it's like a whole different algorithm. And so, like, you can really kind of, the things that you're watching, the things you're liking and engaging with, it's going to feed you more of that. So if you start to really dive into the positive side of social media, because there's so much gold, this right here, what you're doing, like, there's so much noise, there's so much garbage out there. To have these little snippets of, like, positivity and growth, and, like, something for somebody to just listen to, that's not doom and gloom, like, we have enough of that. And I think, like, creating these little areas and people that are spreading the love and the light, it's beautiful, man. And I don't know, we have advanced so far already, and I, like, try to think back to, like, when I was younger kid, and the technology we had, and, like, now, and I, like, cannot even imagine what's coming. I feel like it's already getting so crazy, like chat gpt and AI, and all this technology, and it's wild, dude. I think at some point we're just going to be like floating orbs, and, like, everything will just come to you or something. I don't even know. Like, you won't have to leave your home. It's wild. I don't know.
Hey, just so I can have an idea and a barometer, how old are you?
I'm 35.
Okay, so you're a little bit younger than me. All right.
How old are
I'll be
you?
I'll be 40 this year.
Okay, cool. Nice, man. I'm right behind you.
So we grew up in the same, technological aspect.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
I mean, and then to see the jump, yeah, I often wonder, and I hear Rogan talk about it a lot,
Yeah.
what will be the future of us, and man, whatever you're drinking looks delicious.
Oh yeah, sorry, man. I, like, just woke up, and I was
Oh,
like, dude, I need coffee. So
hey man, cheers.
yeah,
So
dude, that's a dope mug.
thank you,
Love
thank
it.
you. It's one of my favorites, and yeah, so I hear him talk about it, and I think, yeah, I mean, if the trajectory keeps going the way it is from what you and I grew up with to now to 20 years from now, yeah, bro, we're just gonna be orbs in a.
Probably on another planet. Who knows? There's some crazy stuff out there.
I,
It's exciting.
it is very exciting.
Very
I am very much on the team of like, let's go. Let's. I mean, because it's gonna happen. It's inevitable, anyways.
Yeah,
It's
people are gonna do it anyway. Might
we're
as well
human.
do it in a fashion that matters.
We're human. That's what we do anyways. We constantly evolve and progress, and we want the new this and the new that, and so it's just going to keep going and going and going. So I'm excited about it. Let's see what happens. So
Yeah.
I try not to take the fear route more often in life than not. So we'll see. But yeah, man. So yeah, we're rolling, ready to go. So you just woke up, and what's a typical day like for you, man?
Wow, great question. My life looks a lot different these days than it used to.
Yeah.
I a year ago moved to this really rural area in Florida called Floral City, and just bought a house down here with an acre, and I got some chickens, and so we've got this little kind of farm deal going on. I've got about 16 chickens, and so every morning. We have to take care of the family, the family, I call
Yeah.
it. And we've got 2 dogs, 2 cats, and all these chickens. So,
You and your wife.
yeah, me and my wife. And so now it's wake up, take care of those guys first, make sure everybody's happy, because if they're not, you hear them. and they will continue to let you know. So that's been a really new adjustment, dealing with all of that. And, there's a lot that comes around that. We've had, dead chickens, unfortunately, like Garbanzos, which is one of our dogs, would, chase after them when they were young. And it was sad. So we're learning all this stuff along the way. And so, like, you may wake up at 7 in the morning, go out there, and it turns into chaos. Birds escape, dogs are chasing things, it's absolute chaos. So while I wish I'm like on this peaceful acre and I wake up and the birds are chirping and everything's beautiful, sometimes it's absolute chaos. So typical day looks completely different every day. Some days it's, super smooth, the everybody eats, everybody's happy, we move on, and some days it's chaos.
Yeah. What made you like, so this may be a different lifestyle than what you're used to. So what made you choose this style?
Yeah, man, it's a completely different lifestyle,
Yeah.
than I've lived my entire life. I've always lived in large cities, um, and now I am really in the middle of nowhere, Florida. We have one stoplight, and I did it for. I needed to do something different. I've always pushed, like, if you want different, move different. And here I was sitting in this kind of rut right outside of this burnout, and I was like, I need to change something. And I took sort of a inventory of what was going on in my life and some of the things that had caused me a lot of stress, which I know it sounds dumb, but like I knew that, like, traffic and being around a ton of
Oh,
people was triggering for me. It was like every day I'd end up being
no.
so frustrated, man. I mean, like driving to school and work, and I'm like cursing at people and, you know,
Yeah.
having to defend my life in Philadelphia. So it was, I got to this point where I'm like, I'm done, and then the pandemic hit, and that was when I was like, I'm really done.
Yeah.
Like we had a curfew. I was in Philadelphia, so like we had a curfew. I chose not to be a part of the experiment, and so I had to not. We had to get a card if you were able to get vaccinated, and then you were able to go into restaurants and eat. But if you didn't, you couldn't go in. So like it got to this point where I'm like, whoa, we're like completely segregated. They were talking about all kinds of crazy stuff in Philadelphia,
Bro,
and
that's
I
just
was like,
insane to hear because we didn't like on in Ohio, like
yeah,
we didn't experience that.
yeah, it was. I've never ever seen. It was so scary to me because they were like curfews in my own. Like you couldn't leave your home. Like it was wild, dude. And that's when I'm
Wow.
like, all right, there's. It's time to make a change to not be so close to a city. I think like cities have to operate with more control. They have to, set laws and regulations that I guess protect such a large amount of people. So I
Yeah.
was like, screw that. I'm moving to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Not that this is the middle of nowhere. I'm in Florida. I'm about an hour and change from Tampa, Orlando, Ocala. I'm not too far from like Jacksonville, so I can get anywhere. I love this location. I'm near an airport. I'm still able to travel.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. It was just, it was an intentional decision, my wife and I, to just make a lifestyle change completely. And there have been lots of positives to that, but there have also been some negatives. And so I'm really in this exploratory phase right now where I am, deciding what I want to do in my life and what does, suit me well and what I'm able to give my full attention to, and not just pieces and leftover. And I want to be really intentional in living moving forward and trying to focus on what's important. And I know that looks different for everybody,
Yeah.
but for me, I just needed to like settle in. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, 180 lifestyle. It's been weird, but also beautiful at the same time.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, for me, I've got to imagine that that would increase my mental health because, you know, we all go through these. I mean, I used to, I have a much better drive now, but at my other job, I was spending, at least half hour to 45 minutes one way in traffic. Um, and so, I mean,
Oh,
I have a much different lifestyle in the fact that like I have a baby, and so time away, which I love spending time with my daughter, but like time away, like alone time is like, oh my God, thank you. Like, so even in traffic, I'm like sitting there like, oh my God, like thank you.
Yeah.
Like this is, but it does get to you.
Yeah.
And I think one of the most underrated things, one of the most underrated stressful events that people do every single day is drive.
Yeah, for sure.
You are on 1,000% driving a machine that weighs thousands of pounds, and then depending on the other morons on the road, you're depending on them to do the right thing, and it's just
Trippy.
become so yeah, right, it's just become so automatic that we don't even think about it. But I think a lot about it, and I try to pay attention to my driving as much as I can, but that's a different story. But I hear you. I don't think I would. I've never lived in like a big city before, but I don't think I would thrive very well. It doesn't help my mental health. I know the person that I am, and we have a nice little setup here. Our neighbors are pretty close, but it's nice and serene. It's a little neighborhood. It's peaceful. It's quiet. There's no really honking and just people going everywhere and movement. It's very still, peaceful, and tranquil. And dude, here's another thing about social media. I know what your property looks like because you share it and it's beautiful. So
So wild.
I get to experience that too. So I appreciate that.
Dude, you're welcome to come on down anytime. Anytime.
Dude, I would love to.
I, yeah.
I would love to make that happen. I think I don't know, man. I feel like if I lived close to you, I feel like we'd hang out.
Definitely, man. And
You're,
that's what's cool about living in Florida is like everyone comes here to vacation, you
mhm.
know? Like it's most people will go to the beach or to Disney or whatever. And so we get to see people. It's great. I'll come down
um,
to drop in and see people and I love it.
dude, when I'm down that way, or I would love to make an intentional trip. I would be honored to come hang out and check it out. That'd be sick.
Wow.
You carry a pretty sick circle, man, and I would love to be around those folks because it's all about it's all about who you're around.
Yeah, absolutely,
five people that are around, you'll be the sixth.
man.
Um,
No doubt.
so the change, what do you think is the biggest benefit so far?
Oh man, we chatted about it a little bit, the mental health, like the
Yeah.
fruit, it's wild. There's so many little things that I didn't realize I was thinking about living in the city,
Yeah.
like it was there like just down to the simple fact that like our dogs bark less. Like in our home in Philly, you would hear like a car door shut or like something honk or just some sound always
Yeah.
and our dogs are just ripping, they're
Yeah.
barking. It started to get really annoying. I was like, dude, it's just the door. And so here it's like, you don't hear that. It is pretty silent. They bark at things that, sometimes they just bark to bark, but
Yeah.
usually when they bark, there's something going on. And so it's been cool. That has helped. Just kind of I think a lot of like the mental health aspects and what I'm learning in just my own body and my experience is like my nervous system is just so unregulated. And I catch myself like I struggle with PTSD and some other things. And so I catch myself being like super triggered at times and like not able to kind of find myself and be comfortable in a space. And I was like feeling that in my own home in the
Mhm.
city. And it was like, oh man, it was excruciating. And it'd be like every day I'd drive to school or work and I'd be like, this is like, what am I doing? I'm miserable. And I'm always the one that like I would post like, hey, if you want to change your life, you need to do something, take action, blah blah blah. And I'm like, what am
Yeah.
I doing here, man?
Mhm.
It's time to take action. So I started the hunt and I was like, I'm not going to settle for anything less than XYZ. My wife and I made a list and we just started searching. And so it took a lot of time to find this property here, but man, I love it. I'm on a dead end street next to an 84-acre ranch. It's wonderful, dude.
It looks pretty sick. I love watching it, and dude, that's just dreamy. I mean, when I was a kid, my grandma had a property in Indiana, and it was just, I mean, acres and just nobody in sight. And there's something about for mental health at least, when you can look in an open space, it does something to your brain, where you're not constantly focusing on different things. I think that's another thing with living in a city with
Mm,
cars and buildings and signs
stimulation
and
constantly.
yes, there it
Yeah,
is. Constant stimulation. And when you're looking at an open, vast area, that's just it.
you just take it in. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Never even really thought about that, but it's so true. It's just there's an openness, just a space and freedom to it. Love it.
It touches your nervous system in like a really tickly way.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it almost, yeah,
So
it almost makes me laugh a little bit. So like the nervous system, like you said something about the nervous system. When I like started to change my life, let's just say 10, 15 years ago, I noticed that my nervous system was absolutely shocked. I was reacting to everything. I mean, I look back at it now. Someone posted a question on their Facebook that said, if you could be anybody for the next 24, if you could wake up and be anybody for the next 24 hours, who would it be and why? And I was like, yo, I want to go back to me 15 years ago just to remember like what I used to be like.
yeah, dude.
Because Ron, like I shit you not, man, this conversation wouldn't be happening.
No doubt.
Bro, I would have been so scared to ask you or to ask anybody or to even think of starting a podcast or doing this or to talk to anyone in general, even someone I knew very well.
Wow.
My nervous system was so gone and there was so many things that I had to change, but one of them was that I think helped tremendously, and we can kind of touch on this a little bit. But um, I was, I've been diagnosed with major depression and PTSD since I can remember. I started seeing someone at the age of I think 17 or 18, and from the medications that I was taking, they did help, and I'm still on medication. But one of them particularly made me incredibly tired. I mean, lethargic, just kind of out spacey, but it helped me. Couldn't really tell you what it helped, but it helped me live life a little bit better. So
Yeah.
the point of this story is I went back to my doctor and I was like, "Hey, I'm super tired. I need something to keep me awake through the day so I can function and this, that, or the other." So I was prescribed Adderall. So they gave me Adderall so I could stay up, focus, do all the things I needed to do and live my life. Well, I went on that for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years, I think. And eventually I got to like the highest dose that you could take. I think it was like 60 milligrams twice a day.
Dang, dude. Dang.
Yeah. So,
I just
and it
had a
was
heart
having,
palpitation.
oh my God.
Phew.
I mean, that's why I want to go back because I was like, how did I survive?
Yeah, dude. That's a lot.
It's a lot of Adderall.
I'm prescribed Adderall, and
Yeah.
that's a ton of Adderall, dude. I feel like I would have a heart attack. Like I don't even think I could take that amount.
And it really like,
I know people that are, taking that, and it's wild.
it is wild.
It's
Um,
technically meth for sure. Like it is like a legal, basically a little bit different formulation of meth. It's wild, and it
it
gets
is.
people stuck and hooked on that stuff.
And I didn't have any clue until I checked myself into a mental health rehab. And long story short, when I got out, they had forgotten to put my pills back in my little, case that I got to take back home because they take everything when you go in.
Uh,
So the next day, and I'm already out of it anyways, right? Because I'm not in a good mental state, you know. And I like, it was a while ago, so I don't really remember what happened, but I know I didn't feel well. And I was like, what is going on? And I was like, oh yeah, I haven't taken my medication. Like that's
it's
exactly what
huge
this is.
withdrawal for sure.
Oh my God, dude, it was insane. So I started to I continued to do it after that, but after a while I was like, this is, people were pointing it out to me. They were like, you're isolating, Um, I basically had like agoraphobia. I mean, I was again scared of people.
Yeah.
I went through a pretty traumatic situation through all that as well, where like my life was on the line, and it was with a close family member.
Yeah.
So I was on, do you see what I'm saying? Like I was on a 10, and
Yeah,
I mean I was amped at all time. I thought everybody was out to get me. I thought things were sneaking out from around the corners, figuratively. Boy, I was amped. So made the decision to get off of that, and that was incredible. I mean, that was the hardest, one of the hardest things I ever did. I didn't think I'd ever be like normal
yeah.
again. Um, but in the end, I know it's a medication that works for some, and that's not what I'm saying. But I don't think I needed it, and I got hooked on it, and it destroyed my nervous system. And I never thought I'd be right again after I got off of it. But here I am, years later, haven't taken it in forever. So
What do you thanks for sharing that, man. And
yeah,
I have heard very similar stories. I have been on this very, very I hate you, but sometimes I need you relationship
sure,
with with Adderall
yeah,
because especially like when I was going through college, I used plant medicines and they help, but there were just some real disconnects in my mind
yeah,
and that helped out. So I hate it. I have just a couple like minor heart things, and so like when I if I take it or I take my actual um like prescribed dose, like I it's too much for me. So
yeah,
like I use it as a tool. Like if I know I need to like get a project done or I've got to focus on this thing, I'll you know utilize it that day and it'll help out a bit. But yeah, it's wild, man. I think that um between having like trauma, taking medications, experiencing the sort of feelings when your nervous system's so amped like that, dude, it's a nasty cocktail. And I think a lot of times we'll react. I've reacted. I've really resonated with a lot of what you said and have been in those seasons of my life where it's like I'm my own worst enemy, but also I don't know what to do. And at some point you have to take action and make a decision to do something different. um it's tough though, man. I don't think a lot of people like the conversation we're having is not a conversation everyone can have. Not
yeah.
saying people don't experience things, but there's some that there's some deep intricacies and traumas that are involved there that you know some folks may never understand. And so,
Mm-mm.
it's great. Keep on scrolling. We're here to help all y'all that, we're going through some shit.
Exactly. And that's what I just try to share my story, because I feel like everybody's going through some shit. I
Yeah.
mean, really, no matter what you're doing, we've all gone through things. And I think my goal and my passion in life is to be just a little bit better than the day before.
No doubt.
So that's kind of that.
I
Um,
stopped being so fixated on everything's going to be better someday. Like I stopped. I used to have this like mindset that if, XYZ were to align and
yeah,
all this stuff will happen, everything's going to be better. It's going to be
yeah,
smooth. It's going to be whatever. It's not the case. Like you set the tone for your life. And I stopped chasing that. I'm like, I'm
cool.
settling into the things. Like I chose to purchase a property and I know that there are consequences or like actions that I need to take with that. And
Yeah,
so instead of being like, this sucks and like making it, a miserable thing, I'm like, this is what I chose for
yeah,
this style of living. And, so just being less attached to things and just kind of letting life flow, man.
yeah. It's a little easier that way. When you
Yeah.
just
And
kind of
easier
let it.
said than done.
Yes, it is a lot easier said than done, and you're always really honest about that, which is what I admire you for. You make light of things. I mean, I've seen you post like a couple repairs on the house and stuff like that that I know you weren't like thrilled about, but ultimately I could feel like I made this choice and here we are, and let's let it flow, and let's figure this out.
No doubt. It's a lot more
Yeah.
work than I thought.
Yeah. What what do you what do you think about mental health these days in general? Like, where do you think it's at in this world? I hear it's horrible. I hear it's on the rise. I hear more suicide is being committed more than ever every day. I hear, all these different stories. I feel that mental health is in a place where it's kind of gaining momentum. I think there are some backstories like nutrition that are really making a push right now. And I love that because I think it's the foundation of mental health. Where do you think it's at?
Wow, that's a huge question. And
You see more, you're in the light, like you're in the front of things, man.
well, I used to be a little bit more, and I'm still tapped into our team, and we experience a lot in the veteran community. So speaking on just the veteran community, I think that mental health is in a really really difficult situation. I think that suicide has been really devastating in our community, and there has not been a real change. Like, I know a lot of there's so many levels here, but a lot of the reasons why we push for um, like psychedelic legislation and things like that is because our system, our healthcare system has not changed. We've been using some of these ancient medications that really have not proven to help PTSD and some of these other things. And so without have ever trying something different or adopting something new, it's absolutely wild to me. But I think that mental health in general, as a population, not just veteran community, is it is not it's not well. But I also think that it's trendy right now. We're
Yeah.
talking about it. So there's this new boom of like, for the first time, like I'm hearing some men that are like finally getting in touch with their emotions, and they're like, hey, I saw you share this thing. Like, I was in the VFW, and there's, some older gentlemen that they are not feeling people, like
Yeah.
they're going to drink it, and that's fine. There's no judgment, whatever. But some of these folks are starting to ask some questions and are, opening up. And so I think that there is this overall hope because there is so much like spotlight on mental health. But I also think that the spotlights on mental health, just like anything, like we're experienced a lot with politics, and there's lots of like trendy keywords and phrases and things that people are into hearing, and things like that, just to I don't know. I don't want to get too political. There's a lot that I'm trying to like block myself from saying because I know this is public. But like you said, nutrition, the chemicals, it gets really, really deep. To the fact of like you'd almost think that it was intentional at times to get us to this point. I don't want to get too weird about the conversation and conspiracy theories. I'm trying to like tread lightly, but I think that we're in a really weird but unique place where mental health is so relevant. People are talking about it. It's trendy. It's buzzing. It's whatever. People are adopting. They're listening to podcasts. They're at least trying. I think that we need to be in a more of an action state. Like at this point, everybody's like, "Yeah, I am XYZ. I am whatever gender identity, mental health letters you choose. I have PTSD, ADHD, blah, 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 blah."
Yeah.
And they choose to make that their identity,
Yeah.
where it's like, you're looking for this sort of identity. And so I think mental health has sort of given some people language, just like we know that back in the day, people did not know what PTSD was. They call it shell shock or whatever back in, you know, other areas of the military. And so now we have language, we have education, we have some understanding around what these mental health things are. But I think that people individually, you and I both know this, no one's coming to save us. We need to take the action. I think people need to understand that, like, your government's not going to save you. Even your personal trainer, your whatever, whoever's in your life, they're not able to save you. They can help you, they can lead you to the trough. You got to drink the water. And I think that, like, as we're learning and getting this information, as long as folks realize you've got to take action, you're in control of that, and you've got to take accountability, I think we could see some real change. But I'm also seeing that, like, it's like an scapegoat for people, that they're like, oh, well, I have this. And so this is just the way I am, or whatever. And that can be really damaging. So the state of our mental health, especially with the way that the politics situation is going and all of that, I think we're in this really scary state as a whole. Like, I think everybody's sort of, I'm scared. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie to you. Like, I'm kind of like, what's not that I don't know that I can protect myself and things like that, but I'm like, what is gonna happen? This is so weird. Like, how could this all sort of normalize and play out to where everybody's sort of living in harmony? Like
Right.
right now, I don't see a harmonious ending,
Mm.
or a harmonious future, and that's a little bit scary. But I bring it back to myself. I think everybody needs to learn to take accountability for themselves, and it's okay to have these things. I have diagnoses, that have letters, and occasionally I'll throw out that, I struggle with PTSD, but like it's not my identity. I'm not a combat veteran with PTSD. I'm Ron Millward, and I'm trying to be a better person every day. And so sorry for the long-winded answer. That's such a huge, huge topic. And I'm listening to all of these, even in the debate, and you're listening to just everything that's going on in the news. It's like I'm hearing all these trendy words, like we're like, get pesticides out of our food and chemicals, and that we're starting to like buzzword talk about the literal root of these problems, because I think it's nutrition, it's the education system. There's so many things that have led us to this sort of like, well, here we are, our world's in a state of chaos. We need to get back to some roots and some discipline, and help lead people in a way that pushes them back to themselves. Like, you got to take accountability for yourself.
Well, dude, so many, whatever aspect we've talked about, it's all been lies that have led us to this exact point.
Exactly.
I mean, if you think about nutrition, it's like, we've been lied to. One example is the sugar industry. I mean, they literally paid for saturated fat to be the scapegoat of what they were doing to America, to the whole country. So there's just one example. So there's a lie there.
It's
I mean,
terrible.
medication. I mean, psychedelics. That literally changed my life.
Same.
We
Same.
wouldn't be talking.
And even, it just
Yeah,
doesn't make
hey,
sense.
and guess what, Ron? I didn't like go jump off a bridge, or I didn't do something crazy, or I didn't like,
Nothing.
all of these scare tactics and fears that they put in people's minds. I didn't lose my mind. I actually found myself,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
you
Oh,
know?
it's beautiful. They're
So,
powerful, powerful tools. And
so nutrition is where I really started to take action. I mean, I knew where every fast food restaurant was. I mean, I ate the shit of the shit. I ate the trash that people like Callie Means. Have you heard her talk?
yeah, 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 yeah. I've heard them.
Her and her brother, Casey, I think I've got them right. Callie and Casey Means. They were on Tucker Carlson recently.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I heard that name.
Dude, that blew me away. Um, but that's where I started to make changes. And I started to look at like, well, I watched a documentary called Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead on Netflix,
Hmm. To check
and it
that.
just scared the absolute shit out of me. And I followed what that guy was doing, and he made like shakes that were like greens and fruits and stuff like that. Like he did juicing. That's what he did. So he changed his life from processed foods to juicing. I did that for a year straight. That's all I did, was I did it 3 times a day. I did smoothies instead of juicing. So I took it to a little bit of an extreme, but that's when I started really noticing the benefits.
Dang.
Because when I was deep in it, I had no clue how sick I felt. I just went along with it. I laughed it, like when people eat lunch, they're like, man, I'm going to feel horrible after this. Like, I'm going to
Right.
go need to take a nap. And you just laugh along with
Oh,
it.
I'm
Like,
so bloated. I can't even get
yeah,
my ring off. Ugh,
but
yeah.
I'm gonna do it anyways. And here
Yep.
we are. And I'm just gonna talk about it. And I'll
Your
bitch
body's
about it
literally
later.
screaming, I'm inflamed.
I'm inflamed. Please help me.
Right.
And so, it's just like, I didn't know that. and I started to I started to listen to people and Rogan and different subject, different people. I'm like, well, there might be something to this. So let's try it out. So we took action. And I mean, people talk about the energy and stuff like that. That all happened, but just the way my body operates. I
Bro,
mean,
DNA changes. It's insane. That's amazing that you did that. And I've gone through periods, not a year, but like, I've done some juicing fasts and things like that. And dude, nutrition's everything. I made the decision to go full vegetarian about 6 years ago, and I don't think I'll ever go back. I know there's lots of research around meat, and I'm cool with it. I don't care. Eat all the meat you want. I just don't want to. I think my body responds a little bit. Uh, it does react. Like I do feel inflammation when I was eating meat, and so I've just felt a
really,
lot cleaner.
yeah,
I've felt a lot more mental clarity, which has
yeah.
been huge for me. But that's a personal decision. It wasn't for anything crazy. I just wanted to, and I may eventually in the future. If we got to the point where like we're in the end of the world and I gotta like hunt and eat rabbits and shit like that to stay alive, I'm game, man. It's not below me. I just at this point in my life chose to go vegetarian and feel really good.
The way I look at most things like that is whatever works, works.
Yes, sir.
My man Lil Wayne. If it ain't broke, don't break it.
Hey, no doubt. I feel that, man.
But that's what I started to do. And when people catch on to that, I love that feeling. My in-laws recently have made a big change in their diet. Um, and one of the funniest story ever is, so I always bring my meals to like holiday dinners. So I'll bring a
Yeah.
steak or whatever I want to eat, because
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just,
yeah, yeah.
dude, I'm just dedicated. Like that's my life. That's what I
Yeah.
do. And people always look at me. They're like, "Man,
Yep.
like you can't eat this stuff." I'm like, it's not that I can't. It's just I don't want to. And it's no offense to you. Like I'm here and I'm enjoying. But one of my in-laws, um, they went to see like just routine checkup or whatever, and they talked to their doctor about the changes they were making. And the doctor was like, my husband does the same exact thing. Bro, it was like such a moment of like vindication for me. Like I was like,
Nice.
yes, yes. Finally, does it all make sense?
That's
Like,
awesome.
so, you get the weird looks and stuff like that, but I thoroughly believe in it. I didn't notice it until I started to change my ways, and here we are. I think it's a pedestal and the center of mental health. Um, not saying that people eat when they eat bad, they have bad mental health, but I think it's a tool that can help you.
No, dude, no, stay on that trail because there are legitimate scientific studies, man. Your gut is your second brain. Your gut
Yeah.
microbiome is directly affecting your mental health.
Yeah.
And so, like, that is very, very true. The foods that we eat are directly affecting our mental health. And I feel that. Like, I have not been the healthiest lately. And I know that, and I'm like making some of those decisions. And, like you said, just sort of like, oh, ha ha ha, I'm gonna eat this and feel like shit, but I'm happy, like but really I'm not, I'm fucking miserable and need to check myself. And so it's been it's been a fun conversation with myself. I am my worst enemy. uh,
Well, I'm glad that you have fun with it, because
Trying to. It's
yeah,
either have fun or be severely depressed.
yeah,
Take your pick which route you want to go.
yeah. I think what do you do to help some of those thoughts?
Um,
Like if you're in a negative cycle, what do you do?
yeah, that's a good question, man. It's changed a lot for me over the years, but I really, really connect with animals. And so, like for me, like my dogs, you know, my little family here. That will
I
kind of
love
help me.
that.
That will kind of help me snap out of my shit mood. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of tough to be sad when you got a cute puppy like licking your face.
yeah,
Like it helps. But that's a fleeting feeling. Really, I used to meditate a lot. I still meditate at times. Used to hike, used to walk. All of those things are still helpful tools. So it really depends. Like, I don't live in much of a routine anymore. I used to, and I respect people that do that, hardcore. I have things that I will do every day that I need to do every day. But I'm not as strict with myself because I felt like I was almost doing more damage to my mental health trying to keep up with myself, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Because like I
Sure.
have severe expectations for myself
Yeah.
and I could never meet those expectations. So then I was constantly disappointing myself. And so I know that might sound a little weird, but I chose to just sort of step back and say, hey, here's some non-negotiables that I've got for my days. Here are some tools in my tool belt that when I start feeling like shit or XYZ comes up that I'm going to go to. Sometimes that goes really well. Sometimes could have done better.
Yeah.
Sometimes ask my wife.
Yeah.
Like it really depends on the situation and what's going on. But yeah, I there are so many tools out there, and I always encourage people like try shit. Like try, even if you think you're gonna feel weird, try it out. See if it's something that you might like. Like I got to experience so many different really cool like nervous system down regulators. That's what these are. They're just tools for us to try to tap back in and regulate our nervous systems.
I
And
like I like to listen to Andrew Huberman for a lot of those like down regulating tools.
yeah,
I think it's like two breaths in, one breath out, like very quick. That's like the
yeah,
fastest
yeah.
way to get your nervous system down. Now, I don't practice that. I just heard him say that. But
Dude,
like
breath
one,
work is dope. You look up like holotropic breath work. Like you can actually have a psychedelic experience through breath work. Like you tap into our body,
yeah,
release DMT. So it's a really beautiful thing.
we're all holding.
Yeah,
uh, Who
no
said
doubt.
that? Was that Terrence McKenna?
Yeah.
I think that was one of his jokes. Um, yeah, so I've heard of that. Now I've not tried that. Have you?
Yes.
And it's legit?
Yes, and yes. Yeah, man. I mean, have you ever heard of Wim Hof
Yeah.
breathing?
Yeah.
Yes. So like, Wim Hof, but get into like a holotropic. There's folks that will take you through like a, whole little session. And by the time of it, dude, you're just in pure bliss. It's
I'm
really,
gonna
yeah, it's
okay.
really powerful. And then you learn to do that, like you said, like if I'm in a shit situation, I use breath work a lot. Like if
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
in a really anxious situation in like a grocery store or something, I'll tap in. Like breath is life. If you're able to tap into that and really get in tune, it can be helpful.
It sounds maybe to some people like some woo-woo shit, but really like it is the foundation. I thought it was when first got into breath work. I'm like, what are you talking about, idiot? Like I breathe all the time. What
Yeah,
do you
you're
mean? Like I
what
do that,
yeah.
so like, if I experience a stressful situation at work or wherever I am, like bro, I'll exit from wherever I am. I've got some I use damn it, oils, essential oils,
Yeah, I love it.
and I always carry some of those with me, and I'll just go to the bathroom or something like that, put a little bit on my wrist, rub it in, take a nice few deep breaths.
Oh
If I
yeah,
got if I got to cry, I cry, I let it out. Get whatever it is out of me. Do some breathing. I typically, like, if I do breathing, I'll practice box breathing.
yeah.
So that usually gets me to a good state. But that's what I do to regulate my nervous system. Like if I'm in a real tailspin, and I try to, but sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, same man. And I think really the key is presence. So doing anything and being intentional and knowing that you need to do something is really the key. And then taking action on that because it's all like, oh man, I know I'm miserable. So then you continue to be miserable or take an action step to, change. So it's good stuff, man.
So, I try not to be politically driven myself. I can't help myself this year. I don't know. Can't imagine why. Not like there hasn't been great content. But I really feel like we're at a pivotal point in this country. Uh, I don't know where it goes from here once this is done. I don't know if that's just because I've decided to pay attention to it this year. I don't know what the push has been for me. I guess I've just looked at it all. I even watched the debate, which I've never done in my life. I'm gonna go out and vote, which I've never done.
Nice.
And I just gotta hope for the best.
Yeah, I think we're all right there, man.
With all the shenanigans and stuff that and also what is real?
Mm.
I've seen stories that are absolutely fake, completely fake. I've seen just it's bananas. So you're like,
Well, you don't really know.
you
You know,
don't.
it's wild, man. It is like there's like who do you trust really anywhere from all the way top down? There's no trust. And it's really scary. So it's not to me, it's not even about a political side or who wins the presidency or anything. It is like we've gotten so far away from our foundation and like the truths of our nation. It's really, really scary, man. I feel a deep anxiety and fear around either candidate winning, to
Yeah.
be honest with you. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. Like
Yeah.
I see benefits on some sides, but I also it's really scary, man. I think we're in a really pivotal point in our nation. We've seen history, we've seen civil war. There is it's terrifying to think about future possibilities and future devastations that could potentially come from just this election alone. And like you mentioned, I never really no one did. No one really gave a shit about politics. And I'm not going to say no one. Lots of people did, but like it seems like in the last 5+ years, it's so hyper focused. When did you ever used to go in and like talk about who you're voting for at the dinner table or like in an everyday conversation? People just didn't. You just
Yeah.
don't. It was never really a thing. It was a private, independent conversation. Now it's literally if you mention you agree with anything, you're hated on any side. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter. You agree with this person or say you agree. You make any sort of statement and you're hated by
Yeah.
someone. And so, like, I mean, I think that's with a lot of things. Like, there's just miserable people out there, but it is a really terrifying time for me in our politics, and I'm trying to like center and like even in my own family with me and my wife, like there's lots of conversations happening, and it's we're seeing other people and how they act and respond and how they talk about politics, and we're in a very very political, very red area of the nation, and so it's like in your face, dude. And to me, we were having this conversation the other day. There's that meme that went around that's like, believing in a politician is like believing that a stripper loves you. Like it's one of the, where I see these people that they're so hardcore, sold out, and dedicated. They've got the flags and the stickers and the hats and the everything. And I think to be so radical and politicized, like you missed the entire point.
Yeah.
Like, that it's I don't know, man. Like you're still trapped in just a way of thinking, and I think a lot of this stems from the way that we're raised and the lies that we've been told, and it's really terrifying, dude. I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist here, but like you said, like what's real? I think about this often. Like none of
What?
this is real, dude. Like this is all money. Look at our like we're just making up numbers. 1 million quadrillion dollars to fucking whoever. Like it's not even real. But then the IRS, you better give me the taxes on that
It
$600 Venmo payment. Get the
exactly.
fuck out of here, dude.
Exactly. It's so like the irony is just it's bananas.
Unreal.
Uh dude.
I don't want to play anymore. Like I wish
I
you
don't
could almost opt out.
yeah,
Like, hey,
I
I'm
don't
gonna
want to
live on
play.
the outskirts. I'd like to opt out of your simulation and game, and like we just create a whole community of opt outers.
It's so true on like the what is real thing. And bro, you know, if conspiracy theorist is what people want to call me, then that's cool, because I don't think they really understand the definition of that, which is just a couple of people that think the same thing that go against whatever the actual idea is.
And it's way more than a couple people nowadays.
It's way more, dude. It's millions of
It's like
people.
the majority are conspiracies now, because it's not a conspiracy. Like,
It's
we're seeing
not.
shit. Once you
Yeah,
see things, you can't unsee, dude.
it's not. It's not. That term is it's an old term, and it's just I don't know. I don't think people understand it correctly. But it is a question of like what is real, because and that messes with you. I think there's actual data on when COVID happened about the spike in mental health going, way down, as in a good way.
Yeah.
And shit, lost my train of thought. I think TBI has a little bit to do with that.
Maybe just a little bit.
Um, but damn it, lost it. Oh, real. So yeah, what is real? Like that's a real thing. I mean, you see all these different things, even in the debate, the things that were said, some of them were real. They were fact checked and said they weren't real.
Who do
What
you
do we do?
who
So
do
the
you believe?
COVID
Who do you
thing,
listen to?
yeah. So the COVID thing, mental health, went way down. We listened to them. They were lying to us completely. Now who do we listen to? It's like I look at it as a family relationship. Like if your dad lies to you and you're like, well, now how am I supposed to believe you now?
Well, trust is broken.
You
Yeah,
were you were the one that I was looking for.
right. Yeah, I mean, I felt that very. I mean, all throughout my military career, I was like, oh man, our government is not about the people. Like,
Yeah.
this has nothing to do with us at all. This is a literal system built around protecting our whatever you want to call it at the top there that's leading things. It's scary, dude.
When you
It's
were when you were in the military, did you have that feeling before you got into the military or during
no
your
way.
time?
During my time, I think when I was driving through downtown Baghdad, Iraq, and saw the devastation that our country had done to these really poor, innocent people that were displaced, these children and families, that was when I was like, man, I don't think I have much faith in our government anymore.
Yeah.
Uh, I had to continue to serve for a few years after that, but that sort of started my journey of like, man, I didn't really realize what I signed up for. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And you don't. Like, I was a kid. I was 17 years old. I like saw a paycheck and free college and all the enticing things that the military industrial complex throws at people, where the majority of our money goes to,
Yeah.
and what we're all taxed and fighting over.
And the pride of protecting this country.
Yeah, no doubt. And that's the thing. I think there's a difference here. Like, I signed a document, I would lay my life down for this country. I would not lay my life down for this government.
Mm.
And so I think there's a huge difference. I think there's a big disconnect. And that's why I get so upset when I see people like burning the flag and disrespecting the flag and all that sort of stuff, because I don't believe that as a symbol of our government. I believe that as a symbol of our country. And I think
Ooh.
that our country is very strong, and our country is way more united than our political government system is. I think like if we stripped away all of this stuff, if you just got rid of social media tomorrow and we stripped away the noise and we got back to some of the core principles, I think we'd realize like we're all a little bit more on the same page than I think we all think we are.
Yeah.
Uh, but what happens is, and dude, I'm an advertising major, so I went to school for the psychology and reasoning behind advertising and the media, and it is so corrupt, dude. Like, we're being fed what they I say they it's tough to put a name on whatever, but whatever
Yeah.
you're seeing is being fed to you intentionally, and it's put there to have you do something, to take an action, to whether it's be upset, be divided with other people, or to purchase something. It's really scary. So I just like be really careful what you listen to, look at, watch. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I just take a lot more. I'm a lot more intentional about what I'm allowing, what I'm actually believing and listening to nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to call that defanging the beast,
Yeah,
you know,
to put it.
because it's out there. So you got to defang it somehow. Um, I, yeah, I don't know what to think about it all, but I kind of just hope for the best and continue to do what I do on a daily basis, and try to continue to put out my best. I like the distinction you made between your love of the country versus your love of the government and what you would and wouldn't do. I think that's very important. Um, what do you think you're most proud of?
Mm, it's a deep question. I Man, I'm proud of myself. I know that might sound a little egotistical, but
No,
I'm
man.
not always proud of myself. There are I reflected. I've always journaled in a way, whether it be in like my notes on my phone or in an actual physical journal. Not deeply because I can't understand my handwriting, but just some like core principles and things like that. And so, I was looking back and like there were a couple birthdays. I remember, that like I was suicidal, and I had two suicide attempts before in the past, and so there are times I look, I'm like, I never even thought I'd be here. Really, at this, I never thought I'd see this age. Like, I got out of the military pretty young, 23, 24, and it's been a shit show since then of, trying to find myself. And I think that I finally settled into a normalcy in the last few years. Um, but I'm really proud of myself for hanging on.
Yeah.
There were, oh my God, just so many times, man. I've just lost so many people, and there's been so much devastation. Um, but I truly believe that we're all here for a reason. We all have purpose. I believe in a God that loves us. I believe that we are all on mission. I think we can deviate from that at times, especially when we don't believe in ourselves and we, feed into the lies and the distractions and um, all of the chaos that's around us right now. So, I'm really grateful for people like you that do create this space, because while there is absolute chaos going on in our world, we're sitting down on a beautiful Saturday morning to have a helpful, hopeful conversation. And I think like we're both navigating this. Like, dude, you're a father, man. You're a boss, and
Wow.
you have such a responsibility, dude. I can't even imagine the weight of that. And then to see the way that the world is and the state, and you're raising a family, man, like that's huge. And so thank you for creating spaces like this for the future generation, man. This is for your family, and for us to help create better people and make a ripple effect um, throughout eternity, hopefully.
I agree, man. That was beautiful, and thank you. Yeah, it's a lot being a father. I was scared to absolute death.
Can't
Um,
imagine.
but I mean,
I'd be
yeah.
scared every day, man. I just Whew.
One of the crazy things that I was scared about, because I had never really been around kids. Now, this may sound the way it sounds, but bro, I was scared of changing her diaper.
Oh, dude, I get it.
I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah, I mean, even like my niece and nephew, they're like, "Here you go, you change the diaper." I'm like, "Nope,
Yep.
my wife can do that. I'm not doing it."
And
Weird.
so yeah, I was all types of scared. I one time when
Do you ever
you
throw
had
up? Sorry to interrupt you.
what's that?
You ever like gag? Do you ever get like a real gross
Oh
blowout?
yeah.
Like, oh, dude, like
Yeah.
you just can't do it.
Hey,
I feel like that would
especially
be me. I'd be like, I'm out.
Well, yes, but I think I've made a decision in my head because here's what happened, okay? I'm glad you asked that. So when we had her, masks were still
Oh,
not like
nice.
not like heavily used, but they were like still around. Here's what happened, bro. So I used that as an excuse. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna wear my mask while I
Yeah,
change
dude.
her and I'll never smell it. But one night, and I did that, but one night I had a thought. I was like, what is this doing to her?
Oh, shoot.
She's seeing me in this mask. So what is she thinking? And she's smart, so she's gonna put all this together.
Yeah.
Is my dad gonna wear this mask every single time that he changes me? And am I not gonna be able to see his face?
Wow.
And I stopped.
And now you just raw dogging the shit smell.
Oh, raw, dude, bro. You get used to it, yeah, raw dog in the shit.
You
Yes.
acquire a scent.
So yeah, it's bad sometimes. But you get used to it. The one thing that I will say that you never get used to is changing the diaper genie. So the thing that you keep all the shitty diapers in,
Oh man, I
you
bet
never
that
get
gets
used to that.
brutal.
It's
Yeah.
brutal, but they've done a really good job about making a very efficient product that keeps the smell away. So
I
that's
have
that's good.
one for we have one for our cats, the
Yeah.
little genie thing, and yeah, it's gross.
But yeah. Hey, shit is never great. Um, what what makes you laugh?
Again, back to animals, always animals for sure. Like I get
Yeah.
always cracked up. I know I keep saying that, but like we have even this stupid channel that plays on like 24/7 on like Samsung TV,
Yeah.
and it's just like dumb animal videos. Like we'll just have that on in the background every once in a while, and that helps lighten the mood. But I don't know, dude. Like I was in the military. I can be extremely inappropriate. I like dark humor.
Yeah.
Like I can go from a spectrum. Like I can laugh at silly shit, and I can laugh at like really inappropriate stuff as well. I'm not sensitive, dude, and I think that's a big problem in our world nowadays. Is folks
Yeah.
are so sensitive. Like I listen back to like old Dave Chappelle and like just other comedians and like watching old movies, and I'm like, this shit is funny.
Yeah.
And like someone got sensitive and was like, "Oh my god, I'm offended." Like
Yeah.
just like move through it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. No, he wasn't pointing that at you. It was just a joke.
Yeah.
Like and so it's really challenging, man. I laugh at everything.
Yeah.
Really, I think we're supposed to like
Yeah. Yeah. I
let it
love
real.
I love comedy.
Love it.
Comedies comedy, the comedians are my favorite. I think especially
Big
right now.
big Theo Vaughn fan right here. Big Theo Vaughn.
Yeah.
He
I
cracks me.
uh I have one of Theo's sweatshirts.
Nice.
Dude, that guy, that's man, yeah, when I first started like changing my life, I started listening to him. Um he was one of the people that I kept in rotation just because he's so honest.
Yeah,
And
he's honest and just I'm always cracking up. Like
oh,
it's
yeah.
so good.
I have a coworker that I used to work with, and our texts have disseminated to just clips of Theo Vaughn saying funny shit.
Love it.
There's like no interaction between. It's just Theo Vaughn clips.
Dude, that's a relationship, man. A meme relationship. I've got a couple of those going on. Like, bro, we haven't talked in 2 years, but I've messaged you 573 times. Gotta love those, man.
Dude, um, thank you, bro.
Thank you, man. This was a good conversation, man. I feel
I hope it enlightened your day because it surely enlightened mine.
yeah.
I don't get the chance to speak to like-minded people like you all the time. People that have benefited from some things that have been demonized and have absolutely changed our life. I wouldn't be the person that I am today without them. And I'm incredibly grateful for them and the experiences that I'll continue to have. And hopefully I'll have more of those. I haven't had one in a while,
Same.
but the woods are calling. The
They
woods,
sure are,
the
man.
woods are a calling, man. Yeah, man, my wife is so great, man, and she like helps me plan weekends away and stuff, and
Oh, that's
take
awesome.
takes care of the baby. So, um, but I really admire what you do. Um, I benefit from it so much. I think you're a great dude, um, and I just appreciate being in your circle, man.
Bro, right back at you, man. You've been such an encouragement in my life over the years, and I'm grateful for that, dude. Like, not many people tap in like that with just a word of encouragement, and it means a lot, dude. I've always got your back, always down to have a conversation. You are always welcome down here into
Bro,
chaotic family. And yeah, man, I'm grateful for this time this morning.
what
Definitely my day.
what's your wife's name?
It's Victoria.
Victoria.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for to Victoria as well. I don't know what she's doing, but I know it's the
Changing. We're good.
yeah. Well, I appreciate her and I appreciate you. And what do you got for the rest of the day?
Oh man, getting ready. We're doing a big market tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, we're gonna be prepping for that. We moved into a permanent spot in a huge antique mall, and
Yeah.
I've actually been helping them out with the advertising and marketing, and it's been awesome, man. And so
Yeah.
we're just going to a market tomorrow, but you got to be there at like 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
They're pretty brutal days, and
Yeah.
you set up, stand there, chatting with people all day, just trying to sell stuff. But we
Yeah.
love it, man. We're having a lot of fun doing it.
It looks like it, man. And to see the progress that you guys have built for yourself,
So fun, man. It's
it's
been
so cool to see, man.
But
Dude,
it feels like we're just preserving history, man. I get to see so many cool, unique things. We go into people's homes and auctions, and you just really you're literally like seeing pieces of history and kind of preserving that. It's fun.
that's pretty sick because people will remember that and they get to, buy your stuff and then take it home and you get to be in their home without being there. And it's that
Right.
wave, that wave.
Yeah, dude. It gives that piece of new life. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, dude. Well, I hope you enjoy that, man. I know you will. And
Thanks, bro.
again, thank you. So we'll get after it again. And just thanks for your time, bud.
Oh yeah, man. Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, homie. Later.
See you, bro.